And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, this morning, California Attorney General Rob Bonta went to downtown L.A. to announce a new lawsuit. He's suing the L.A. County Sheriff's Department over, quote, inhumane conditions at L.A. County jails. But, John, what do you think happens when someone like Rob Bonta holds a press conference in downtown L.A.?
My guess is a siren.
Every community deserves law enforcement that upholds, at a bare minimum, constitutional standards. That's the floor. Every person in custody deserves safety, health care, dignity.
I think there's one in the background right now.
Make room for another one in the cell. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Randy, one of the subjects that you and I have talked about for quite some time on this program is the violence on the MTA, whether it be the buses, the trains, the subways. Violence is all over the place on these movable homeless shelters where people have been stabbed, people have been beaten, people have been shot. The acts of unspeakable violence going on these trains, buses, and subways is something that is, well, it's a fact that the MTA would rather you not hear about, and they're perfectly happy talking about that at their meetings.
You may want to consider not using the metro.
What happened at the MTA meeting when they were talking about all of the negative news stories about the violence going on the MTA buses, trains, and subways?
Well, that would be a comment from Fernando Dutra, who's now the new chair of Metro, who would rather we flood the media with positive stories.
I think we need to flood the market with some positive news whenever we get it. Because I guarantee it goes the other way whenever we get the bad news. So I think it's only fair that we spread the news.
That's the position of the MTA. If the news media would just not talk about the violence that goes on and only talks about the positive things, then people would ride the MTA. And that's the ultimate goal, so that's what needs to happen. Over the weekend in Charlotte, there was an act of unspeakable violence where a Ukrainian refugee was murdered on public transit by an individual who is a career criminal, who should not have been on the streets, who should have been in prison for any number of offenses. And the video was dramatic and gruesome and went all over social media, although you didn't see it the traditional places, the newspapers that you would assume would cover a story of that magnitude. News channels that would cover stories of that magnitude. They ignored it, but the video, which again was unbelievably gruesome, went all over the web. Here is how Axios wrote about it. The gruesome video of the fatal knife attack on Irina Zartuska, I'm sure I'm butchering that name, apologies, on a light rail car in Charlotte is drawing attention from MAGA influencers seeking to elevate the issue of violent urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. They went on to say that the rising number of surveillance cameras in public spaces, including on Charlotte's light rail, has become a big accelerant in these cases. The video is easily shared or leaked and can instantly pollinate across social media, a visual counterpoint to statistics showing crime decreases. The mayor of Charlotte asked the news media not to show the video. Flat out. Put the ask out there in the public domain. They do not want people seeing these videos because the videos, as we learned in the last segment, contradict what the politicians are saying. The politicians are saying the statistics show crime is going down, yet no one believes it because of our lived experience. Part of that lived experience is seeing videos like this. So what do they do about it? Well, they could ask the news media not to show it, which they've done. Prior to Elon buying X, they would lean on Silicon Valley to not allow these videos on social media platforms. Now they've lost X. and Mark Zuckerberg is less willing to play ball with them over at Facebook or Meta or whatever you want to call it. In Canada, they're now trying something new that I believe will spread to the United States. Since they can't control Silicon Valley, and since they can only ask the news media not to show it, but they can't force them not to show it, if the video just doesn't exist, then you have nothing to put on your platform. Then you have nothing that you can put in front of other people that would then cause them to question the claims that politicians are making. In Canada, they're trying to force homeowners to take down surveillance cameras that they do not want up. They're saying it's an issue of privacy. However, in the case that you're about to hear about, the only time that the video has been used in a court of law is when you have an automobile accident or you have some sort of crime that was committed where the video helped put a guilty party in jail or helped authorities determine what actually happened. It's not like the video caused the bad thing to occur. The video gave useful evidence to the cops to help resolve a problem. They don't want that video to exist, and they're now forcing the homeowner to take the cameras down.
For more, here's a report from, and we've never used this affiliate before, CHCH in Hamilton.
A Hamilton man has been ordered by the city to take down the security cameras on the outside of his home, even though he said...
You can tell they're Canadian.
Oh, yes.
Down the security cameras on the outside of his home.
Outside.
It's a very distinct accent.
On the outside of his home, even though he says a lot of the videos have been used to help with police investigations. Sean Cowan has more.
There, I have one on the other side. I have one there. I have one there, one there, one there.
Dan Miles says he has 10 security cameras outside his home on McNabb Street North, downtown Hamilton. And he says he needs them.
Because we had a lot of attempted break-and-enters into our home and other homes around us.
Miles has posted videos of break-ins online. He also says police have asked him.
Do they have Nextdoor in Canada?
Apparently they have something like it, because this guy is prolific.
He also says police have asked him for his videos over the years to help with investigations. We reached out to Hamilton Police, and they say they can't confirm the use of Dan Miles' videos, but told CHCH News they often work with homeowners, businesses, and drivers to get footage.
Now, do we know when these break-ins happen? Do they happen to be when things get all rowdy after a Hamilton Tiger Cats game?
Is that the local team up there?
That's the local football team. They usually play the Rough Riders or the Rough Riders.
Sounds like an exciting season.
Got to get that Grey Cup.
CHCH has used videos from Miles, like this one seen here, showing the moments before a fatal crash 2 years ago at Barton and McNabb.
These cameras are imperative to our neighborhood watch. They're imperative to the safety of our community.
I thought the whole messaging was we want more cameras.
See something, say something, and if it's on tape, even better.
But last week, Miles received an order to comply with the city's fortification bylaw, asking him to remove his cameras.
Oh, this weekend, the Tiger Cats beat the Alouettes 26-9.
I bet that was on camera.
The bylaw says homeowners are not permitted to view or listen beyond the perimeters of their own property.
So you can't have it facing the street?
Okay, but if you're trying to determine if some bad person is about ready to get on your property, wouldn't you need to see what's going on, let's say, on the street?
Also, aren't we at a point where we're all done with even pretending we care about privacy? Every single person in this world is holding a phone in their pocket that's listening to them all day long. We don't care about privacy.
There are cameras in the Ubers. There are cameras on public buses. There are cameras in subway stations. There are cameras on red lights in intersections. There are cameras whenever you enter a mall, Whenever you enter a hotel, whenever you enter a liquor store, you're on camera everywhere you go. If you're outside of the four walls of your home, I think the assumption is someone could be surveilling you. Hell, insurance companies send drones over your house to determine what the condition of your roof is or what kind of fire threat exists in your backyard.
The bylaw says homeowners are not permitted to view or listen beyond the perimeters of their own property.
A notice from bylaw, I thought, how could this be? Everybody has Ring doorbell cameras pointed at the street and city property, and my neighbors have cameras pointed at my house, and we all...
The city of Hamilton has confirmed the order to remove the cameras to CHCH News, but said they cannot provide further comment because this is an active investigation.
What are they investigating?
No, I'll tell you exactly what it is. He has captured different burglaries on camera, and he's posted it on Nextdoor or whatever it is that they use up there. And my guess is it makes the local police and the local government look bad. And I bet you dimes to donuts, they're out saying the same thing that they are here, which is that crime is down and it's at the lowest levels it's ever been at since the 1950s, and anyone who says otherwise is a liar. And this guy is catching things on his camera right and left, and he's posting them on social media, and they're catching all kinds of hell for it. And if the videos don't exist, then people are more likely to believe the politicians than what they're hearing from their neighbors in their own community, because then it just becomes hearsay. If it's just an old wives' tale, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. If they put the video in front of your face, you know exactly what happened.
One neighbor tells us they're okay with the cameras.
Honest with you, it's absolute disappointment. I just kind of feel like here we have someone in our community who's going above and beyond to try and protect us.
He's a hero.
And he's not even a vigilante or anything. He's just capturing the crimes that are occurring naturally on tape.
We've just been hit so many times again and again.
However, Ann Kavukian, the former Privacy Commissioner of Ontario, says people have the right to privacy on public property.
Privacy is extremely important. It forms the foundation of our freedom. So to go about filming everyone on the street without their knowledge and certainly not their consent, I find very, very unacceptable. Now,
so what do you need? One of those disclaimers? Just a little sign as soon as you enter the entire city of Hamilton? You might be being filmed right now.
Well, it's exactly like what's going on in San Francisco. If you sell the drug paraphernalia, it's bad. If the government gives it away, it's fantastic. If you capture crime on your personal video cameras, it's bad. If we videotape people in public spaces, it's good. Because they do. They do all over the place. That's how they catch you if you run a red light. That's how they solve all kinds of crimes. Facial recognition, in particular, is something that they use. How is that not a violation of privacy? But it is if this guy has cameras on his property.
I find very, very unacceptable. Now, in your own personal area, your personal property, that's different. And that's why you can do it right at the door of your house, for example. But always advise people what you're doing. Have a sign.
Dan says he has appealed the order from the city, but so far has not heard back.
So there's the latest out of Hamilton.
Okay, let's just think about this for a second. If you are a reporter, let's say you're a reporter that's in a helicopter, and California is famous for high-speed car chases, and you are broadcasting the high-speed chase on television.
Or on Smoke and Scan.
And you are catching someone committing all kinds of crimes. They're speeding, they're going through red lights, they're going the wrong way on a road, they're almost running over pedestrians, everything that's a hallmark of a high-speed chase. That's in public. It's a news event. It's someone who's breaking the law and putting the public in danger. And the news channel is broadcasting that event on live television. What's the difference between that and a homeowner catching an automobile accident on his security cameras and putting it on social media? The technology is different. The platform is different. But the act is basically the same thing. Something newsworthy happened in public. Somebody captured it on video, and they put it in a place where people could see it. I don't see the difference between the two. Do you? This is about the government wanting you to believe their BS statistics and not having proof that they're lying to you. This is what they want. They also don't want the jails to be filled up with people. And if you make it easier to solve crimes, then there's no argument in terms of keeping these people out of jail. If you commit a violent act and we don't catch you, well, gosh darn it, maybe next time. But if you commit a violent act and we have you on tape and we can use facial recognition, we know who you are, we can catch you, we can try you, we can convict you, we can put you in prison. And they don't want that happening. I wonder what the cops are going to start telling people now. Because it used to be, if you lived in an area that was going bad, get some lights, get a gun, get a dog, get some cameras, take karate, get some pepper spray, all those things. And now I guess the advice is going to be what? Just comply with the criminal and be a victim? I know this is Canada. I know the story that we're talking about is Canada. But these crazy things don't start someplace and end there. They spread. Think back about the plastic straws. That was something that started in one place and then spread to everywhere else. And I remember what the stories were like when that first started. Crazy fill in the blank does it again. This time they're banning plastic straws. What will they think of next? The next thing you know, it's your local restaurants that are giving you paper straws. I think this is another one of those bad ideas that's going to spread, unfortunately. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
So 3 hours isn't enough? All right.
For some people, it's not.
It's a lot. But sure, download our podcast. Listen for 24 hours a day. Why not? It'll help us somehow. Do we get paid for these? I don't think so. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes.
And Randy, you and I are going on the road.
Join us next Friday at Pineapple Hill Saloon in Sherman Oaks on Friday, September 19th from noon to 3. It's a live broadcast of The John Phillips Show. Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association will join us. The courts have made it easier to raise your taxes. Come by, sign the petition to save Prop 13, have some food, have some drinks as we broadcast live on the 19th from noon to 3.
All right. We know that public transit in California is on its deathbed because, well, they've become murder trains and no one wants to ride them. No one who has the ability to ride in a car or in an Uber or Waymo or anything else is on those trains unless they absolutely have to, which is why they're now all going broke. And Scott Wiener, who is the godfather of public transit here in California, wants the state of California to bail them out. And over the weekend, Randy, he got very, very angry at Gavin Newsom.
That's because Gavin Newsom earlier this year said he was going to have the state loan Bay Area transit agencies $700 million to keep them afloat until that ballot measure in 2026 gets approved by voters for the $20 billion bond for transit to bail out the agencies. And now apparently Gavin's reneging on the deal.
And Scott Wiener is very mad.
For more, here is KPIX in the Bay.
2 local lawmakers warned that Bay Area transit agencies could face big cuts very soon now that Gavin...
Randy, if they don't fund BART, then where are the crooks supposed to steal their copper wire from?
That is one of the leading theories as to why BART was shut down on Friday.
Very soon, now that Governor Gavin Newsom is backing away from a previous promise.
Yeah, state lawmakers said that there was supposed to be this bridge loan to help cover some of the gaps, and Dahlin reports.
And what's really happening here, and we're seeing this as well in Southern California with Los Angeles Metro, is these transit agencies had budgets. Then they got a massive infusion of one-time funding from all the bailouts regarding COVID. Their budgets exploded, and that one-time funding ran out, and now they don't know what to do because agencies don't like to cut budgets.
Well, and they also went through a period where they didn't charge for fares, and they didn't throw you in jail if you were evading fare.
In fact, that was a Gavin Newsom executive order making public transit free during COVID.
So they became homeless shelters, and the moment they became homeless shelters, everyone else found alternatives.
This IT professional lives in San Francisco and works in Menlo Park. 5 days a week, Miriam Clark takes Muni, BART, and Caltrain just to get to work.
That's the transit hat trick.
I hope she has good life insurance.
If they reduce service any more than they have already or adjusted it, it would be even harder for me to, get to my destination on time.
Friday morning's system-wide BART shutdown reminded her how disruptive permanent cuts would be. She left the BART station that morning and worked from home, but that's not usually an option for her job.
How about they let her? Can we stop demonizing remote work? And yes, I'm saying this personally because I'm sick of coming into this radio station. Seriously, we solved this problem. There was no traffic on the freeway. There are a lot of jobs that can be done remotely.
And you and this woman it applies to.
If there's cuts to public transportation, that's going to mean I'm back in my car. And I don't think
they don't need to do this interview in the train tunnel.
Yeah, it sounds like they're at Thunder Mountain Railroad over at Disneyland.
I don't think they want that.
Miriam does have a car, but says she only uses it as a last resort. Local lawmakers want to make sure riders like her keep supporting public transit. That's why they're pressing Governor Newsom to follow through on a promise they say he made months ago.
Did you get it in writing?
Are they trying to tell us that Gavin Newsom is less than honest?
A $750 million loan to help agencies bridge a budget shortfall in 2026.
So instead of figuring out what is the appropriate budget or what's the appropriate fare that you have to charge for this service, how you make this work, they need an emergency loan to bail them out this year so they can survive until next year when there will be a measure on the ballot to bail them out indefinitely.
What's wild is they don't see the elephant in the room, which is unless and until you kick off all the homeless and you make sure that it's safe and clean, no one's going to ride those trains except for the homeless and the criminals.
Well, and in the Bay, they're doing that somewhat. It's not like L.A. Metro, but they have these fare gates. They have stepped up enforcement on BART, but for some people, it might be too little too late.
A $750 million loan to help agencies bridge a budget shortfall in 2026.
I'd also like to look at the books because I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of consultants who are making a whole bunch of money that's not being used properly. And what do we know all these transit agencies in the Bay and Southern California started doing that blew up their budgets around 2021? Hiring ambassadors that don't do anything.
Oh, the ambassadors and all those other worthless programs. How many 800 numbers for sexual harassment do you think exists on BART? We know that was going on in Los Angeles, and that was a contract that was given to Sheila Kuehl's handsome friend.
Sort of, snowflake weepies.
It's been a while since Louis got a shout out.
Hi, Sheila.
But instead of providing the loan now, the Department of Finance says, let's talk about it next year.
And that's a problem because these agencies have to make plans now about whether to cut service next year. They can't. If they don't have certainty the money's coming, they're going to have to start reducing service.
State Senator Scott Wiener represents San Francisco. He says if they want the loan this year,
How about we stop paying for all the needle exchanges and then you put that money towards Muni?
Bingo. There you go. More money.
There are certain things that you think your tax dollars will be going towards, and I would assume public transit is one of them. There's also a whole bunch of nonsense local government wastes money on.
Let's see. Let's start with all of the expenditures dealing with items that will facilitate the use of meth.
State Senator Scott Wiener represents San Francisco. He says if they want the loan this year, they have until Tuesday to introduce it. That's the deadline. He and other leaders are urging the governor to keep his promise.
Ultimately, if nothing happens whatsoever, including the ballot measure, BART will basically collapse. And Muni has said they may have to cut service as much as 50%, one half.
So the only way BART survives is if we pass a $20 billion bond in 2026 to bail them out?
What does that tell you about their books? And keep in mind, all of this is going on when there's basically record low unemployment. It's not like we're going through the Great Depression and no one's commuting to work anymore. Unemployment in California is what, 4, 5, 6%, somewhere in there?
The idea is the bridge loan would get agencies through 2026 until voters decide on a regional transportation measure in November 2026 that could fund transit starting in 2027.
If we're now taking hundreds of thousands of people off of transit and then dumping them into the freeway, 80 is going to be a parking lot. 580 is going to be a parking lot. It's going to be a mess all over the place.
Wait, those freeways are already a parking lot.
Yeah, what's the difference?
And the easiest thing to do is just for the governor to fulfill his promise of providing that emergency loan to tide the transit agencies over until we have long-term funding sources.
Marion hopes all sides can resolve this.
You would figure that already the money that goes to your local governments would be funding your local transit agencies, but they're not.
Here's what's funny. This is a byproduct of Gavin Newsom becoming a national figure. BART and Muni, those are issues that mean something to local people, to local Democrats, to local lefties. But it means nothing to Democrats in South Carolina and Iowa and New Hampshire. So if Gavin Newsom is going to get on the wrong side of his own team, why not do it on a regional issue in California and upset people he no longer cares about? It's not just the Republicans he's done with. It's the Democrats in California, too. He doesn't need us anymore. He has already moved on. And because he's moved on, don't expect any more money for your pet projects that is going to be used to line your own pockets or line the pockets of your friends and your relatives. He has no motivation at all to do anything like that for you anytime soon.
Long-term funding sources.
Marion hopes all sides can resolve this so public transit remains reliable.
It's going to be painful for a while. I mean, there's going to be chaos and pain. But then at some point...
I love you, but you really got to not do these interviews in the train tunnel for BART.
At some point, clearer minds will prevail.
All right, chaos and pain. Transit in the Bay Area. A rally to call on the governor to follow through with the emergency loan is scheduled for tomorrow morning at Civic Center Plaza. Labor organizations, transit advocates, and city officials will be in attendance. Andrea?
Well, if that doesn't work, maybe the Muni and BART agencies can go to one of those payday lenders.
Oh, yeah. With the inflatable noodles outside. Let's go to Craig in San Jose. Craig, hello.
Hello. 15, 20 years ago, the San Jose Mercury News had a series of articles about BART paying the janitors over $300,000 a year, plus benefits.
I wonder why they're broke.
Why are they going broke?
In their defense, if you filled those trains with crazy homeless people and you were the one responsible for cleaning it up, that might be what the job is worth.
I see. The question remains, sir. Why are they going broke?
Well, I think you answered your own question. Thank you for the call, sir.
Do you think the janitors get paid by the hour or by the bucket?
If they got paid by the bucket, I could see how they ended up at $300,000. You ever heard of the phrase clean up on aisle 7? All right. So we know that with the fires in California, that there is great fear that neighborhoods will be remade into something that they weren't, where single-family homes once stood will now be giant 6-story apartment buildings, low-income housing, and the like. Well, Randy, it just doesn't apply to homeowners. When businesses go down, the threat is that we have created such a hostile environment towards business that they will not be allowed to reopen. And it appears that that will be the case for at least one business.
The Real Inn in Malibu has been told that it's not looking like you're going to be able to come back. For more, here's ABC 7 in Los Angeles.
The road to recovery is anything but smooth for a group of business owners in Malibu.
For years, the Real Inn was a staple along PCH. It's signed, now in a pile of rubble, along with the Topanga Ranch Motel. And now, because of a years-long dispute over land use, the Real Inn may never reopen. And as Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell shows us, other businesses are facing the same roadblocks when it comes to rebuilding.
Yeah, we're not coming back.
Nope.
The Palisades fire destroyed a unique pocket of historical businesses at Topanga Canyon Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway on the eastern edge of Malibu. The Topanga Ranch Motel, Wiley's Bait and Tackle, Cholada Thai, Rosenthal Wine Bar, and the Real Inn Seafood Restaurant that's fed surfers and tourists for nearly 40 years.
When I'd go to fish, of course, we would go to Wiley's Bait and Tackle, Cholada Thai all the time to get some curry, some pad thai.
You fishing right off the beach?
And here's what this means for consumers, by the way. Not only do you not get to see the people that you've seen working at these places for a very long time, but if you've been there forever and your rent is essentially nothing and it costs you a lot less to operate than it does people who recently opened up their own businesses or bought their own land or signed their new lease, you can't sell drinks for $8 a piece anymore and make money. You can't sell hamburgers for $12 and make money. You have to jack all of the prices up so you can pay your rent, so you can pay the taxes, so you can pay everything that comes associated with opening up a business like that. Everyone suffers when businesses like these go down.
But, I mean, Real Inn was like my spot. Like, that's where I'd always go for clam chowder after.
Today, the LADWP is using the land which is owned by California State Parks, which recently informed the destroyed businesses their leases are canceled and they can't rebuild.
Why would they do that?
It's almost as if they don't want them there.
This was a perfect excuse to get rid of these pesky businesses.
Bye-bye.
Due to the catastrophic property loss associated with the Palisades fire, DPR has regretfully determined that it will not continue to lease this site.
We thought that
too much of a liability to have anything on PCH anymore, I guess.
Isn't it foreigners who are buying all the land now?
Well, there is that.
We thought that somebody at State Parks at some point would go, look, we're remodeling the whole place down there anyway. These guys have got good press. Why don't we lean in with them and do something cool? And let's do it rather sooner than later because it'll make it look like we're getting things going down here. And the phone not only didn't ring, but we got that letter 2 weeks ago.
The Real Inn says it would be too expensive to operate what they had at another location. Leasing from the state park allowed them to offer high-quality seafood at a reasonable price.
It's a snake chomping on its own tail because the Real Inn wouldn't be a old-school, funky fish shack if it didn't have...
I don't know if I'd use the term funky and fish in the same sentence, but you do you.
No, that makes me think about an airline meal I had many years ago.
You ordered fish on a plane?
I did.
What's wrong with you?
That handicap on the property, because if that were a plate glass and aluminum restaurant, you'd be paying $40 for a piece of fish because you'd be paying for the real estate and the building. Because it was in those circumstances, we were able to do what we did, and people fell in love with it because that's the way it used to be.
Can't do that anymore.
Nope, and we all suffer for it.
The state has offered the Real Inn nearby land for a food truck.
Oh, come on.
That's almost worse.
But owner Andy Leonard says it's a bad location with no sewer, no running water, and he'd have to bid on it.
The same thing's going to happen like that happened with Topanga Ranch. It's going to sit empty for years. So at least let these people just open back up, get back to work. I mean, these people are out of jobs. It's terrible.
There you go. The state of California, once again, making it nearly impossible to rebuild what we've lost in the fires.
Put this in the context of Gavin Newsom telling Bed Bath & Beyond to go to hell, and that tells you everything you need to know about the climate in California.